our first guest for this afternoon. Dating Comelec Commissioner Luie Tito Guia. Sir, magandang hapon. He's part of the Democratic Insights Group. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Kumusta, Commissioner? No?
Kumusta po? Kumusta po?
Oo. Kasama ba sa grupo nyo si Commissioner...
Sino? Si Guanzon? Pinatawag yun.
Hindi ko pa nga natatanong. Natawa niya.
Tinapos na lang para sa'yo. Diba? Tumigil ka pa kasi.
Tanong lang naman.
Sige. Do we jump into dynasties or...
Okay, so let's go into political dynasties because your group, sir, is one of the ones that filed, what do you call this? A representation calling on Congress to finally pass the anti-dynasty law. Talk us through that. Anong version of anti-dynasty law do you want to see passed?
Well, our position is clear. I mean, we want to have prohibition up to the fourth degree of consanguinity or affinity, legal or legal relationship or otherwise, and simultaneous and succession, and then maximum of one member of the same family in the local and in the national position, with the House of Representatives being treated both as a local position and a national position. Yun po yung mungkahi namin. And then yung mga members ng dynasty would be denied, their certificate of candidacy will be denied due course, and then we also have proposed a way by which this can happen before Comelec if there would be members of the same dynasty filing certificates of the candidacy together.
Attorney, ano bang difference sa proposal nyo at saka yung existing bills na naka-file sa ngayon sa Kongreso? Halimbawa, yung kay Chel Jokno at saka yung kay Speaker Bojidi and Sandro Marcos.
No, halos pareho doon kila, from what I know, no, halos pareho doon sa akbayan proposal, yung kila Congressman Jokno, at yun nga, sinasabi, isa lang ang nasa miyembro ng pamilya sa local, isa lang sa national, at saka walang succession at walang simultaneous running, no, sa in the same election. So halos pareho. Meron lang kaming naidagdag na sitwasyon na i-address yung sitwasyon na kung saan, kung let's say sabay nag-file ng certificate of candidacy, no, hindi mo naman malalaman kung sino doon yung
Kamag-anak.
hindi pwedeng tumakbo. O una, no, let's say alam mo na kung sino yung kamag-anak at nakita sino yung matatanggal, sino yung mag-i-stay. So doon meron kaming mga naging mungkahi lang on how to resolve that kind of problem. I think yun yung saan kami na iba, kasi sa tingin namin dapat ma-address din ito at malinaw ito para mas may guidance din naman ng Comelec kung paano haharapin itong mga sitwasyon na to. Basically, what we're saying is that, parang nag-suggest na kami, let's say, basically, anti-dynasty proposal, other than the fact that it is required by the Constitution, ang purpose niyan is to broaden democratic participation talaga. So, at tingin namin, kung let's say, ang tumakbo let's say within the same dynasty, babae at lalaki, let's say parehong senador, magkapatid, tumakbo ng Senado, sa tingin namin yung babae ang dapat maiwan. Kung parehong babae o parehong lalaki, siguro yung mas bata. No?
Attorney,
Pinorward lang po namin yung ganong klaseng mungkahi para lang merong resolusyon at yung issue na kung let's say sabay, no? Kasi yung mga iba kasing mungkahi, kung sino yung unang nag-file ng certificate of candidacy. Sa tingin namin, baka medyo magkaroon ng maraming mischief na pwedeng mangyari pag ganon.
Tsaka magbabarilan yung mga yan kung sakali. Pag
Pero, Commissioner,
pag-local.
Ang balita dun sa both chambers, parang mas malaki yung suporta daw for the version na final nila, Bo GD, which is actually yung pinento sa amin nun ni Congresswoman Garin, yung merong clustering. Pwede pa rin na simultaneous, pwede pa rin na succession, sabi nila, kasi daw yun realistic, pwede daw ipasa ng Kongreso.
Oo,
yung mga medyo hanggang fourth degree, medyo
Realistic na.
mahirap daw yan ibenta. What do you think of that argument?
Well, with all due respect, ang pinaka-realistic talaga, yung wala na lang batas for anti-political dynasty, no? Kung magpapasa ka rin lang na hindi naman siya talagang ma-address yung purpose ng having a political dynasty law, at saka ang mangyayari pa dyan, baka ma-legitimize pa, maglagay ka ng parang just to comply with the Constitution, naging legal pa yung walang impact. So, medyo, with due respect, medyo meron ho kaming pagtutol sa ganong direksyon ng pwedeng puntahan yung ating mga mungkahi ng ating mga mambabatas, no? Kasi parang walang dating, walang epekto. Nagpasa pa tayo. Parang hindi siya mapisa sa ating tingin.
Sir, just to be clear, so one national, one local. So for example, sa posisyong presidente, vice-presidente at senador, iisa lang ang pwede sa pamilyang yan.
Up to the fourth degree of consanguinity.
At sa lokal, isa lamang din, pero hanggang saan sa lokal? Kasi pag sabi lokal, hanggang kapitan ng barangay ba yan?
Barangay.
O paano?
Councilor.
At
Well,
paano kung iba-ibang
isasama
probinsya o
namin
iba-ibang ganun?
Ang sa aming mungkahi, no, within the same province, isa lang, no? Let's say tatakbo ka ng mayor, yung kapatid mo hindi pwedeng tumakbo ng mayor within the same province. Kumbaga, kung tatakbo siya sa mayor ng isang munisipyo sa kabilang province, baka pwede na yon. Yun yung aming naging mungkahi, no? At saka yung isa sa aming pagkakaiba, tinitreat namin yung member ng House of Representatives, both party list, na national at local. So kung member ka ng both ng House of Representatives, hindi ka na pwedeng magkaroon ng kamag-anak sa Senado, at mayor at governor. Kasi sa tingin namin napakahalaga yung posisyon ng representante sa lehislatura.
Pero sir, let me throw in a monkey wrench, sir. Kasi for example, in the last elections, we saw running for governor of Maguindanao Sur, Maguindanao Norte, and Sultan Kudarat, all from one family, the husband, the wife, and the son.
Sa aming mungkahi, hindi ho pwede yun. Dapat isa lang ang taga-pamilya na tatakbo as a provincial official sa isang...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But what I'm saying is that ang tatay tumakbo sa Maguindanao del Norte ba or Sur? Yung nanay tumakbo sa Maguindanao del Sur o Norte, yung anak tumakbo sa Sultan Kudarat, all for the position of governor.
Sa aming mungkahi nga, hindi pwede, lalo na kung adjacent yung province. Siguro kung tatakbo yung isang anak nila sa Batanes, baka pwede.
So may prohibition sa regional level.
Yes. Ang aming nailagay dun sa aming mungkahi, basta adjacent yung province, magkadikit.
Attorney, balikan ko lang yung provisions to resolve disputes. Let's say, sabay-sabay nag-file, no? And which one yung tatanggalin. You said, if babae, if it's a male and female, you would give preference to the female candidate. If it's both female, you'd give preference to the younger candidate. Isn't that a kind of gender and age discrimination? Because what we're trying to do here is, what you want is the more competent of those candidates get to run. And, that's not determined by gender or age.
Well, in the same way, a brother can be more competent than any other candidate. But
correct.
what we're talking about here, or what we are really addressing here, is the age-old dominance of families. And let me be honest with you. I mean, I have the coalition that I belong to are also advocates for gender parity in political participation, and a group also promotes, the need for younger citizens to be represented in the more responsible offices in government. So that's why we included that, just to break the impasse. No, so it's really hitting the it's really addressing the need to broaden political participation.
Well, yeah,
The bottom line is that we need to also resolve that kind of impasse and to give Comelec some kind of guidance on how they would address and make it easier for them, lesser discretion in addressing dynasty issues.
Sir, I
Yeah,
get what you mean, pero wouldn't you possibly run into constitutional issues there? Somebody
Yes.
might file a complaint na, it's
discrimination nga.
Yeah, discrimination.
And gender and age discrimination. And also, it's not a foolproof way to ensure that the most competent candidate runs.
Yeah.
Because I get it.
Well, there
because
Yeah.
we've had females also who have been not particularly
involved in the corruption
honest.
scandal, for example. Or there are
Well,
young...
there are provisions in
Dami yun.
existing laws. I think like the Magna Carta for women,
Okay.
which encourages the enactment of policies that will improve the participation of women in politics. So ito na siguro yung sagot noon. And there are of course Supreme Court decisions as well, which recognizes the situation that women are generally discriminated in our society. So that's the basis there. So I would rather put I would rather risk it constitutionally rather than not have anything to resolve some should I say, operational issues that may come about in implementing the anti-dynasty.
Maybe a better qualifier would be education, right? Or
Yeah.
experience in public policy or legislation. I mean, yun naman yung kulang, di ba? There's so many people who run for high office, Senate, Congress, that have never had experience, right? And go by their last name. So,
Medyo nakaligtaan ko lang siguro yung yung medyo mas matagal ang
Education.
experience sa pamahalaan yun yung aming nilagay na mungkahi doon.
although of course, hindi rin siya foolproof because then the ones who have been in Congress a long time will...
You also had very very well educated people who are also very good at
Yeah, that's true.
hiding things.
Even then, even these proposals ay gray area rin.
Yes.
Kung may
Oo.
gusto mag-complain,
Yes,
may
they
gusto
can.
kumontra, pwede
Oo.
pa rin gamitin yan. Yung sinasabi kasi ni attorney, affirmative action eh. At ang basihan niya, yung mga Magna
Magna
Carta
Carta.
na malinaw naman yung affirmative action. So, parang
Yeah,
sinasabi rin
fair
niya, kung
point.
sakaling may magko-complain, mas madaling
May
pangatawanan.
basihan. Oo, may basihan in the Constitution.
Pero just to remind you, Commissioner, we've had 2 women presidents. Yung isa nakulong for corruption. We've had 2 female vice
talaga.
presidents. Yung isa gusto nilang i-impeach ngayon for multiple alleged offenses. We've had justices, congresswomen, senators na mga babae.
No, aaminin ko, hindi siya madaling advokasya na itulak kasi pati yung kabataan, mukhang hindi din ganun kaganda ang pinapakita ng mga kilalang kabataan ngayon sa pagiging, pagiging leaders ng kanila. So, but by and large, we think that it is an advocacy that is worth pushing as well. Lalo na yung sa kabataan. Yung generation natin ata medyo nasira na natin ang ating politika. I think the younger generation should be able to to contest and to consider running in public office. And this is
Kasi
one
to
way
Reggie's
for them
point, sabi niya yung education Kaya maraming mga babaeng hindi makaparticipate because actually undereducated, medyo kulang ng ng knowledge for participating. Kaya yung nga sabi niya, baka mas maganda na magkaroon ng educational requirement or gandahan natin yung education natin para ma-meet yung educational requirement.
That's true kasi meron din tayong prohibition sa Constitution na walang educational qualification for public office.
Hindi kami pwede niya ni Patrick dahil hindi kami graduate.
Uy, nag-graduate siya.
Hindi rin.
Hindi rin siya.
Hindi graduate siya.
And I found this out on live air, of course.
Pero sinasabi lang naman ni attorney ay gray area naman lahat.
Maraming gray
Pero
area,
mas mabuti na maglagay ng criteria kaysa yung
I understand.
kaysa yung unahan sa sino yung pinakamauuna
Yes.
na mag-file.
Kasi magbabari lang na yan sa lokal eh.
I understand. Pero the thing is, what I'm fairly certain you will come up against is it will be challenged by current incumbent members of Congress. Because when we spoke to Congresswoman Garin about this, yung version of the bill that was filed by Speaker Boji D and Sandro Marcos, di ba clustering nga yun? So technically, members of one family can still run for national and local positions. And we asked her, why not, make it a blanket ban up to 4th degree of consanguinity or affinity. And she said, people being members of Congress feel like that's going against their constitutional right to run for elected office. Totoo naman that in the Constitution, it does say that any Filipino of a certain age and of a certain status in life can run for office, for government. Right?
Pero nakalagay din sa Constitution yung anti-dynasty law.
Ngayon yung
implementing law lang yung kailangan. Kaya nga, last week, medyo defining yung statement ng Malacanang na ang sabi ng Malacanang ay magpo-propose sila ng version nila anti-dynasty law.
Okay.
Yeah,
May
ibig
version
sabihin,
sila.
hindi sila masaya.
With the current one.
Pinopose nila Speaker at ni First Son at yung dinedepensahan ni Congressman Garin. Yun yung medyo political statement yun. Yung sinabi ng Malacanang. Ang mas ang tanong ko kay attorney ay may bottom lines ba kayo? Paano papasok kasi yan sa mga compromises No? Yung bill ni Boji D, yung bill ng Akbayan, no, etc. Yung proposal nyo. May mga bottom lines ba kayo na, pwede mag-negotiate pero ito hindi nalalampas dito?
Non-negotiables.
Oo, mga non-negotiables.
No, hindi ko pa alam siguro sa mga kasama ko, but I think medyo ang gusto talaga maging mabisa kung ano man yung ipapasang anti-dynasty law. So sa amin ang bottom line as of now, talagang 4th degree, saka yung one sa local at one national. Ang fear kasi namin, pag magpasa tayo ng medyo malabnaw na anti-dynasty bill, it would take another 25 years probably to pass another bill that another law that may be effective. So tapos na magiging parang meron na tayong cosmetic na anti-dynasty bill. So nare-recognize din namin na syempre hindi natin alam kung talaga magpapasa ng anti-dynasty law ang Kongreso na kung saan karamihan ng kanilang members, 70%, ay kasapi sa dynasty. Kaya sa isa pang iniisip namin, hindi namin tinatanggal yung posibilidad na magkaroon ng effort or an initiative on a law on anti-dynasty para maipasa yung talagang dapat ipasa na version ng batas na to.
Di ba dapat yung no succession non-negotiable?
Ako, nag-agree po ako, dapat non-negotiable.
Yung level ng consanguinity, pwedeng yun negotiable. From 4th to 3rd, ganon.
Even within our group, Sec. Ronaldo, merong 2nd degree, may 3rd degree, may ganon. So, baka doon pumunta sa area na yon yung usapan ng relationship. Pero definitely, yung siguro, isa lang sa local, isa sa national, medyo may pagkamatigas yung ganong positioning. Saka simultaneous succession.
So sir, can we go into the particulars again of dun sa local limitations? Kasi yun ang medyo masalimuot eh. So you're saying number one, for example, within the same province, bawal ang kamag-anak tumakbo to the 4th degree within the same province, and also within an adjacent province.
Yes.
So those two lang, or are there other qualifiers?
Yun yung aming naisip na qualifier para lang ma-forward yung proposal. Yes.
So, for example, sa isang probinsya, pag may tumakbo na, for example, gobernador, hindi pwedeng may tumakbo in the same province na kapitan ng barangay or vice mayor or konsehal. Tama ba?
Okay, let me ang parang naging desisyon diyan talaga wala na, no? Wala nang pwedeng tumakbo, pero medyo nag-uusap-usap kami doon sa barangay level.
Sige,
Kasi
dapat natin
iba
barangay.
yung
Kasi
dynamics
minsan
ng barangay.
ibang petsa ng barangay minsan na eleksyon eh.
Yes.
Diba? They're usually separate. Sige, pero konsehal, kumbaga. So the highest to the lowest, konsehal at yung gobernador.
Kasama.
Okay, within the same province. Pero
Yes.
kung ibang probinsya na hindi katabi, ibang usapin na yun.
Baka pwede na po 'yon.
Magbibilihan niya ng bahay sa iba-ibang probinsya.
Siyempre maraming
Sir, you're a bit chubby, sir.
permutations yun, ano?
Christian.
Village law requires this, di ba? Yun yung pandon. Saka yung medyo pinakasimpleng intindihin din. If it will cover, then let it cover more than less.
This version of the anti-dynasty bill, sir, gives a lot of puts the burden of responsibility on the Comelec. Do you see a need to give the institution, give the Comelec more power?
Well,
Just to
the
enact
best...
these? Kasi, for example, yung cancellation of certificate of candidacy, that's going to be on them too, right? Determining who's going to be eligible to run, that's on them too.
No, the law will provide the eligibility. Comelec will just execute it. That's why it's important to have clear criteria. It should already be in the law so that Comelec can only implement the law and execute the law. It will not have any discretion. It's job only to make sure to decide cases as early as it can.
It brings me back to one of my favorite issues, which is the conflict of interest with the campaign donation, right? The law is there. The law states clearly that anyone who has a contract with the government or is a supplier to the government in any way should not be donating to candidates' campaigns. And yet we saw what happened this time around, right? Maraming nakatakas. They successfully argued. To me, the law, I read the law, Ed and I both did, it's clear. But they successfully argued that the person is different from the company, the juridical entity. So, I mean, how does that work? That's what I keep coming back to, which is in this political dynasty law, you want to give Comelec a lot of power to determine, okay, siya pwede tumakbo but not you. That's going to be, you're going to run into issues there, right? Kung sa campaign finance
No,
nga.
Comelec will not have to decide who gets to run or who does not get to run. The law should already be, defining that. Comelec will just look for the facts of who between the relatives possess the disqualification that will lead to his, being disallowed to run. So no decision at all on substance on the part of Comelec.
Pero attorney, yung nire-refer ni Reg na kaso sa Comelec, hindi pa final yun, di ba? Yung
Hindi pa, actually wala pang angkwan yun eh. Meron ding atang, if I remember right, no, that's the case of
Senator
former
Chis.
Senate President Chis Escudero, no. Kwan lang yun eh. Ang tawag ng Comelec doon parang motu proprio decision nung campaign PFAD, that office that's supposed to do this. But that is not yet everything kasi there's also, I think,
a case.
I was told that there was still a case at the law department. Ito yung preliminary investigation proper talaga, which can lead to a criminal case. That's still pending.
But
No? So,
what are the odds that the Anbank will decide against what the PFAP decided on, right? That they will decide a different way, saying that there is a violation here. Kasi don't they usually just take the recommendation from the political department?
no, as you've said, I mean, it's your reading is that it's clear that there is a conflict of interest there. So it's not. I will not be surprised if some commissioners will also take that opinion, because I haven't heard of any commissioner.
Juridical entity. Bakit hindi i-base ka
A little
doon?
bit. We'll try him again.
Yan, sir.
Ayun, perfect. Okay, I'm so
Sir,
sorry.
anyway, sir, you had a lot of experience in Comelec even before you were appointed commissioner. What's your opinion on that? Whether it should be treated different, yung personality ng opisyal ng kumpanya at yung kumpanya mismo. Separate and distinct.
Siguro Ed, bago yun, yung nawala sa kanya kanina.
Sige.
May sasabihin si attorney kanina na nawala eh. Kanyo, Commissioner, yung nawala kayo, may sasabihin kayo eh.
Actually, meron pang isang pending na kaso sa Law Department, no? Yan yung criminal aspect nung issue na yon, no? Alam ko wala pang desisyon ng Comelec, no? Now, ang tanong siguro, paano kaya magdidesisyon ng Comelec, no? Hindi pa natin alam kung ano yung posisyon ng bawat commissioners dyan sa issue yan. So, it's not impossible for the Comelec and bank to be deciding on a position different from what the PIFAD recommended. Una nga, recommended lang yun eh. Diba? Recommendation lang yun. Wala pa namang action dun sa recommendation technically. Although, someone said that that should be it, no? But titignan mo, that one is still a recommendation. So we really don't know, no? Until the time that the Commission and Bank actually decides on this case.
Okay. Sir,
Pero
what
ikaw,
is your
personally, what do you think? Kasi ang nakalagay dun sa batas, lang eh. A juridical entity ang sinasabi eh.
Okay.
Hindi ba? Parang are we? Nagkikuibol na naman tayo sa sa definition. Parang forthwith. Baka siguro kailangan tagalogin natin lahat yan.
And then, may principle kasi talaga sa constitution, sa corporation law, na iba ang juridical personality ng corporation saka yung mga individual members. That's really a principle in corporation law. But, I'm not a commissioner anymore. Siguro nga, sa tanong niya, if I were to decide it, siguro, the easier way out is to say that they have different juridical personality. But if you need
corporate law yan, commissioner. That's a corporate law, ha? Yung definition ng juridical entity.
Sinasabi ko, may principle po sa corporation law na iba yung juridical personality ng corporation, iba yung juridical personality ng individual stockholders ng corporation.
Yeah.
So, pwedeng mag-donate individually yung tao, pero yung corporation, kung yun yung may kontrata sa gobyerno, iba siya, no? But what I'm saying is that can be the easier way out in making decisions like that. But if you look at the purpose of the law, now, let me say this, no, kasi nakakaya naman sa mga taga-Comelec, galing din ako doon, ano? But if I were to decide the case, I will look at the intention of the law. So, what facts and circumstances would show that principle can be yung tinatawag nilang piercing of the corporate veil.
Yeah.
Na hindi actually yung kasi hindi rin pwedeng may corporation law principle din na hindi pwedeng gamitin yung corporation as a shield to liabilities ng mga tao. So, meron bang rason para i-pierce mo yung corporate veil? So, you would have to investigate further. That should be my approach. That would be my approach if I were a commissioner.
By the way, PFAD stands for Political Finance and Affairs Department, tama? Political Finance and Affairs Department, which is the department within Comelec that looks into these campaign violations, alleged campaign violations. But I know that the particular provision in the corporate law that you're talking about, which says that the juridical entity is different from the individual, but there are certain cases as well wherein the person is the founder of that company. There are that there are instances wherein you cannot separate the person's, the individual's wealth, source of income from the companies, right? So, for example, yung nag-donate kay former SP Cheese Escudero, Lawrence Lubiano, was allegedly the founder of Centerways. Centerways is one of the top flood control contractors in the country as exposed by President Marcos. Meron naman iba doon, like Wawaw Builders, which the DILG is now saying is not really owned by the person who showed up to the Senate hearing, right? It's really under
Front.
It's a front for somebody else. Pero in the case of Centerways, for instance, we know for a fact that Lawrence Lubiano is intricately tied to Centerways. Not just that, but yung his family members also have deep ties with the Escuderos. So, what do you do in a case like that, right?
And that's why Comelec, in investigating this case, you know that the purpose of the law really is to prevent conflict of interest. So it would have to go to the facts and circumstances, the relationships, even the origin of the corporation, perhaps, in order to decide this from the electoral perspective. So the issue that really is there a conflict of interest? Is there a reason to pierce the veil of the corporate veil, so that we can also hold liable the members of the corporation and not let the corporation shield any wrongdoings that might have taken place. So dapat may mas malalim na pagtingin, no? Like what I've said, if you want a quick decision, then it would just be, you know, okay, if they are two separate persons, tapos na, no? If I were the one, I would have to look deeper. That's what I'm saying.
Tsaka may precedent din yan. Di ba? Yung corporate bail issue. May
Marami
precedent.
po, marami.
Marami na.
Yeah.
Maraming precedent yan. Ang sinasabi ko lang, meron lang talagang facts that need to be surfaced so that you can pierce the veil of the corporation. Yun lang yung kondon. So, hindi pwedeng, okay, nakita mo lang yung papel, corporation ito, iba yung personality, period. So, and all the other cases, ganon. They would have to look at the circumstances, the relationship, even, you know, yung siguro the percentages of ownership.
How do we close that loophole finally in the law? Para klaro na moving forward, whether you're a person or a corporate entity, you just cannot donate to campaigns, right? Because again, the spirit of the law is all about preventing conflict of interest.
Well, perhaps you can add in the law that you know, the majority owners of the corporation would be liable as well, or they can be included in the prohibition. But remember, this is a law that is 1985 vintage, no? And you know, having been involved in you know, campaign finance advocacy work for quite some time, you know, the only time that, you know, Comelec, including my Comelec, when I was there, really took notice of the campaign finance laws was in the late 2008, 2010. The laws had been there for quite some time, but it's a portion of the Omnibus Election Code that did not really get so much attention until the late, maybe early 2010, when upon the advent of the automated election, hindi na pinapansin yung bilangan at tabulation. Ngayon, let's go to the substance of election, yung mga electoral issues na like campaign finance. Kaya din pagtingin sa ating mga money, influence of money in politics. So yun,
Commissioner, on another related topic, no? On another related topic, yung grupo nyo ba may position din dun sa party list reform bill? Paano konektado rin yan sa usapin ng dynasties?
Totoo yun. Kasi ngayon, mas madaling mag-form at ma-strengthen yung dynasties by taking advantage of the mechanism of the party list system of representation. No? Unfortunately lang, no, hindi pa namin napag-usapan talaga ng ganong masinsinan. May mga opinion, there are differences of opinion, but let us, you know, just understand what it is, no? Kasi siyempre ang party list system of representation is really an alternative form of representation to the single member past the post system, yung district election na alam natin it's a system of proportional representation. No? So instead of electing members by plurality vote per legislative district, ito naman proportion of the vote. At yung proportion ng vote mo, yun yung number of representatives nung party. So that's the idea. Except that nung in-implement yung party list system of representation through a law, may limit on the number of seats that can be given. So medyo na nagka-problema yung representation, no? So with all its problems, no, itong party list system of representation, it is a system that allowed someone like the Makabayan Bloc and the Akbayan coalition to be represented, which I don't think they will ever be successful if we continue system of representation alone, no? Now, why am I saying this? Kasi may mga mungkahi abolish yung party list system na hindi ho kami sumasang-ayon doon kasi malaki pa rin ang posibilidad ma-reforma lang ng konti na mas angkop sa isang multi-party pluralist democracy ang meron tayong party list system of representation. So yun ang basically position natin dito.
Okay. We'll leave that